Okay.
Nice
Good to see you, Andrew.
So
Thank you.
the audience has two people from Texas here. I think that's a first on Kingpins.
And we're unfrozen.
We're not frozen this week, yeah. So welcome to our event. Thank you for coming and thank you for making the time. I'd love it if you could introduce yourself to the audience and a little bit about Lubrizol.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Vivian, Joanne, and the group at Kingpins for the opportunity to be here with you. Second, as I was watching earlier, I just wanted to congratulate the prior speakers, and it's amazing what human ingenuity can do. And you see that throughout the presentation, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And also about everybody becoming more purpose-driven and that purpose being a good thing. So thank you for that. In my remaining component of 90 seconds, I'll be brief.
Take your time.
I started with Lubrizol in 1991. As a technologist, I'm extremely proud to work for Lubrizol. It's always been a great place to work, full of technology know-how and like-minded people. It was founded in 1928. I've spent the bulk of my career in both technical and business management roles. And just proud to represent Lubrizol and what we do.
Thank you, Rob. It's great to have you here. And one of the things that I liked in the film is that I really have to say I preferred the second half of the film to the first half. When I watched the film, the first half I was like, maybe this one looks familiar, but the second half doesn't. The second half is about how the onus is on all of us to make change. And that second part of that was that we are in our industry a trend-setting industry.
Right.
So we actually all have a responsibility and we have to give shout outs and we have to make efforts to changing the way people behave. So, which brings us to Fiber-J. So can you go through with us a little bit of explain the history of Fiber-J, because it's a stretch fiber. Maybe everyone in the audience doesn't know all there is to know about it.
Okay, sure. So Fiber-J, as the world calls it, our X4J, started as a question, as many things do, and somewhat serendipitously. It was actually started as a film project, and the customer picked up the film and stretched it and said, this is really interesting stuff. Could you make a fiber from it? And that started the journey well over 10 years ago of how we arrived at Fiber-J. So that journey has been long, as many of them are. Our first applications were in the intimate world, which kind of gets back to the root benefit of TPU fiber being soft on the skin, comfortable to the skin. A lot of TPUs actually used in in-body applications. So the genesis was really a question that led to a discovery on how valuable that could be. But along the way and to the topic today, we also knew that product could be recycled, could be produced without solvent, and effectively could be an improved elastic fiber for the market in general. So really interesting genesis, but landing where we are today with something that has its own zero waste process, all the scraps returned back into the process, and something that can be recycled on its own, but also in fabric form. That's where we get to the game-changing comment in the video that you saw.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about its special performance properties?
Yeah, one of the really unique things in the genesis of the name Fiber-J is a really flat modulus curve, so a very flat stress strain curve. So it stretches quite easily, less force required to stretch it, roughly 64% versus conventional elastic fibers that are in the market. But oddly enough, that's not a low power property. The monofilament construction is actually stronger in fabric form than other elastic fibers. Number one. Number two, it actually delivers increased compression in fabric form in the Z direction back into the skin. So really unique fiber in being monofilament, that leads to thinner fabrics. It leads to improved breathability. It improves dry time. There's a lot of aspects on the morphology of the fiber that are interesting. So there are a lot of angles to pursue what you can do. I think it changes the game in that respect. And then the biggest topic really today is about the sustainability, core sustainability of the material itself, but also what it can do in fabric form in terms of enabling waste recycling. And that's primarily a knit world function at this point, nylon and polyester being the other two co-fibers, those being thermoplastics. It enables that scrap fabric that we talked about in the video to go back into the stream and to be repurposed so that we can create circularity.
So a lot of our customers do knits. So, I mean, they all do jeans, but a lot of them do knits as well. So they can literally take the whole garment and recycle the whole garment.
Yeah, so we're kind of focused today on the pre-consumer waste because it's the part that is easier to attack. But we have brands that are designing for circularity where the entire garment then would be post-consumer recycled. So that's an exciting proposition.
And one of the things you talk about is monofilament. You mentioned that a few times, but I think we need to, just for the audience, to explain that other stretch fibers are not monofilaments, but they're multifilaments.
That's right.
Can you explain that difference so that people understand? Because that's a bit of a complexity that I think we didn't really.
Sure. So the manufacturing process for spandex is it's solvent spun or dry spun, which just seems like an oxymoron, but that solvent has to be dried out of the fiber. To do that, you really have to create a multifilament so that there's enough surface area so that that process is efficient. X4J is melt spun, so there's no solvent to dry off, so we can make monofilaments for that reason. That's part of why we do that.
All right, and monofilaments are obvious. They're thinner than multifilaments, which gives you the thinness, and the strength is the same or more.
Yeah.
And okay,
more. Yeah. So for the corresponding denier, it's about 50% as thick, if you want to look at it that way from a diameter standpoint.
Perfect. And can you talk about the company's sustainability position or action?
I would love to, because it's gone into overdrive, which I'm incredibly proud of and happy to see. But one of the other speakers had mentioned the UN SDGs. So we did a lot of work to look at what industries we operate in, what markets that we operate in, and therefore what UN SDGs are really things we can move the needle on. And we've focused on those. So our sustainability efforts are aligned with UN SDGs. You saw in the video, move cleaner, create smarter, and live better. Those become pillars within that sustainability strategy. So a lot of our company is in the transportation segment. We can impact vehicle emissions in a big way. That's part of the move cleaner. Create smarter is what we're talking about now. How do we create circularity and punch above our weight in that respect? So that's incredibly important. Live better is a lot of the things that we do in the healthcare markets and the personal care spaces, but it's also about how we behave as a company in terms of supporting local communities, the philanthropic efforts that the company has underway. And we had a Lubrizol Foundation that was doing that kind of work way before people were talking about this. So back in the 1950s, we were supporting what's now called STEM education. We were doing a lot of things philanthropically in the communities that we operate in. So that's why I'm proud of it. It maybe is a new label on things that Lubrizol's been doing for a long time.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And then the last question, and I guess probably the most important one, besides trying to shill things, but what is the plan for the company in the future? Where's the company going?
Yeah, so I think we're going in the same direction we've been going, but I would say with more purpose on our footprint and our handprint. So instead of just creating unique products and solving problems, I think increasingly the problems that we're going to be trying to solve are the big problems in the world. And to do that, we need to be partnered with people. Our own footprint is not big enough. Big problems need to be collaborated and solved as a community. And So that's where we're going with our technology know-how. We can create a lot of new technologies, biodegradability, biosourced, unique physical properties, but with partners, we can make those things have a much greater impact in the world for the better.
Well, it's nice to hear from you, Rob. It's obviously a company that's been around since 1928 and doing philanthropic things for a long, long time. It's a great company. Good to have you on, and we appreciate the association.
We do too, Andrew. Thanks to you and your team.
Before you go,
Sorry,
Rob,
Vivian?
there's going to be there's a question from Connor from the audience to Rob. Where could these products be recycled today at the end of use? Can you answer that briefly?
Yeah, that's a tough, quick answer because end of use depends on which segment you're talking about. I can talk about one of the brand programs that's launching in May, that fabric waste, both at the fabric production end and the garment production end, is being recycled in Europe.
Especially interesting on clothing.
Yeah, so this would be intimate apparel. That waste is being recycled in Europe and repurposed into components of the garment. So I don't know how to get more specific and less specific at the same time, but my comment would be those ecosystems tend to be unique to the brand's supply chain and geographies where those are being produced. This one just happens to be in Europe.
And we can forward the questioner to Rob to get a longer answer if they wish.
Sure. Happy to do it.
Connor, you can give us.
Thank you for the question.
Contact info. Thank you.
Okay.
Rob, thank you for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye.